The void hums. It's not a sound you hear with your ears, but with your bones, with the very fabric of your being. Out here, beyond the cradle of soul, where the stars are scattered like forgotten diamonds across an endless black cloth, humanity is an upstart. A flicker in the cosmic night. We haven't been playing this game for long, not compared to the KRYL hegemony, with their star-spanning empire and warships that dwarf our most ambitious cruisers. Or the Sylvans, whose bioengineered fleets whisper through the nebulae, their roots tracing back to epochs before our ancestors even dreamed of fire. They looked at us, in those early days of contact, with a mixture of pity and mild curiosity, like one might regard an ant colony diligently building its tiny mounds. They saw our short lifespans, our messy, chaotic expansion, our reliance on brute force and crude technology. They saw our wars, our pollution, our self-inflicted wounds, and they wrote us off. Another violent, self-destructive species destined to burn out before it truly ignited. They didn't hear the song. Every species in the galaxy has its own song, a kind of psychic resonance woven into their very DNA, shaped by their homeworld, their evolution, their history. The KRYL song is a booming, militaristic march, a testament to their iron discipline and relentless expansion. The Sylvan song is a delicate, intricate melody, echoing the harmony of their interconnected ecosystems. Humanity's song? It's a cacophony. 1,000 different instruments playing at once, sometimes in harmony, often in jarring dissonance. It's the wail of a blues guitar, the crashing crescendo of an orchestra, the rhythmic pulse of a factory floor, the crackling static of a long-distance transmission, the laughter of children in a crowded street. It's messy. It's loud. It's us. My name is Jian Li. I'm a long-haul freighter pilot, more comfortable in the cramped cockpit of my ship, the Wanderer, than planetside. I haul everything from synth silk to raw or across the outer rim. It's a solitary life, punctuated by the occasional bustling spaceport and the even more occasional close call with a pirate band or a navigational hazard. I'm no hero, just a man trying to make a living in a galaxy that barely notices we exist. But I heard the song that day. Or rather, the silence. I was running a shipment of medical supplies to a newly established human colony on Kepler 186F, a small, struggling outpost clinging to life on the edge of KRYL space. Nearing the system, I dropped out of warp, the familiar shudder of transition running through the Wanderer. The sensor readings came in wrong. Kepler 186F was silent. Not just no ship traffic, but no planetary emissions, no atmospheric readings, no song. The vibrant, chaotic hum of a fledgling human colony was gone, replaced by an eerie, unsettling void. My blood ran cold. I hailed the colony, again and again. Nothing but static. I tried the planetary defense grid. Silence. I even broadcast a general distress signal. Only the faint whisper of cosmic radiation answered. Against my better judgment, I took the Wanderer into orbit. What I saw on the surface made my stomach clench. The colony, a collection of prefabricated domes and landing pads, was intact. There were no signs of battle, no wreckage, no scorch marks. It was as if the entire population had simply vanished. I risked a landing, the Wanderer's magnetic clamps locking onto a deserted platform. The airlock hissed open, and I stepped out onto the cold, metallic surface. An unnerving stillness hung in the air. Inside the main habitat dome, half-eaten meals sat on tables. Data pads lay open on desks mid-entry. Children's toys were scattered across the floor of a common area. It was a snapshot frozen in time, a moment where life had abruptly ceased. Then I found it. Scrawled in shaky, desperate lettering on a mess hall wall, using what looked like a piece of burnt charcoal, they took the song. I didn't understand. Took what song? Were the colonists musicians? Had they been abducted by some bizarre artistic collective? It made no sense. But then, deep within the colony's central research lab, I found the KRYL. They were tall, insectoid beings with chitinous armor and eyes that gleamed with cold intelligence. They moved with a precise, unsettling efficiency, their slender limbs manipulating strange devices that hummed with an alien energy. They were harvesting something. Not resources, not technology, something else. And then I heard it. Faintly, almost imperceptibly, a muted echo of something human. It was like trying to pick out a single instrument in a silent orchestra. A fragment of laughter, the ghost of a lullaby, the echo of a lover's whisper. It was being drawn into the KRYL devices, captured, contained. That's when I understood. The KRYL hadn't just attacked the colony. They had silenced it. They had stolen its song. Rage, cold and sharp, pierced through my fear. These things had extinguished the vibrant spark of human life here, had ripped away the very essence of what made this colony human. I was one man, with a freighter that was more rust than refinement, against an unknown number of KRYL soldiers in a silent, deserted colony. The odds weren't just bad, they were cosmically absurd. But then I remembered the song. Our song. That messy, chaotic symphony of a billion individual lives, all clamoring for existence, for expression, for connection. It was broken here, silenced. But it wasn't gone. Not entirely. I had my own small melody to play. My ship, the Wanderer, wasn't armed for a confrontation with KRYL forces. Its defenses consisted of little more than a few outdated laser emitters and some hastily installed armor plating. But it had something else. It had a jump drive, powerful engines, and a whole lot of empty cargo space. My plan was insane. It relied on the KRYL underestimating a species they already considered insignificant. It banked on the fact that they wouldn't expect a lone freighter to do anything but flee. I moved through the deserted colony, my boots echoing in the silence, avoiding the KRYL patrols. I located the central containment unit where they were storing the stolen song fragments. It was a large, crystalline structure pulsating with a faint, captured light. Guarding it were 4 KRYL soldiers, their energy weapons held at the ready. I couldn't take them head-on, but I could create a distraction. Using salvaged components from the colony's hydroponics lab and some of my ship's emergency flares, I rigged a series of makeshift incendiary devices. They weren't powerful, but they would create noise and light. I set them off in the outer domes, the sudden bursts of fire and the crackling explosions shattering the eerie silence. The KRYL soldiers reacted instantly, their attention diverted to the unexpected chaos. That was my chance. I sprinted towards the containment unit, my heart pounding in my chest. The remaining guards turned, their weapons tracking me. I didn't stop. I threw myself forward, sliding under their energy blasts, and slammed a heavy-duty industrial magnet I'd borrowed from the Wanderer's cargo bay onto the crystalline structure. The magnet wasn't strong enough to damage the unit, but it did interfere with its energy field, causing it to emit a high-pitched whine that was almost unbearable. The captured song fragments within flickered erratically. The KRYL soldiers shrieked in alarm, their attention now fully on me. They opened fire. I rolled, narrowly avoiding a searing energy beam that melted the metal floor where I had been a moment before. I needed more time. Thinking fast, I grabbed a discarded data pad and slammed it against a control panel, short-circuiting the local power grid. The lights flickered and died, plunging the lab into darkness. Now it was my turn to play in the silence. I knew the layout of human technology. The KRYL, for all their advanced science, wouldn't be as familiar with our crude, direct interfaces. Using the data pad as a makeshift club, I moved through the darkness, guided by the faint glow of the containment unit, striking at the KRYL soldiers when they least expected it. They were stronger, faster, but I was unpredictable, fighting with a desperate ferocity born of the injustice I had witnessed. One by one, they fell. Finally, I stood before the containment unit, the only sound the faint, distorted echoes of the stolen human song. I didn't know how to release it, how to give those captured voices back their freedom. But I knew one thing about our song. It was resilient. It was persistent. It always found a way to be heard. I pulled out my personal comm unit, an old, reliable piece of human engineering. I activated its widest broadcast frequency and held it against the containment unit. Then I did the only thing I could think of. I began to sing. My voice was rough, untrained, off-key. I sang the first song that came to mind, an old Terran folk tune my grandmother used to hum. It was a simple melody, full of longing and hope. As I sang, something strange began to happen. The captured light within the containment unit pulsed in rhythm with my voice. The distorted echoes of human laughter, of lullabies, of whispers seemed to coalesce, to strengthen, drawn to the sound of a living human voice. I sang louder, pouring all my grief and rage and stubborn hope into the melody. And as I sang, the containment unit began to resonate, its crystalline structure vibrating with increasing intensity. Then, with a sudden surge of energy, it shattered. A wave of pure sound washed over me, a torrent of human voices, a symphony of 1,000 lost moments, now unleashed. It was overwhelming, beautiful, and fiercely, undeniably human. The echoes of the old song were free. The KRYL reinforcements arrived moments later, their weapons charged, their eyes burning with fury. But the colony was no longer silent. It was filled with the echoes of human life, a defiant chorus that seemed to physically push back against the invaders. I didn't stay to fight. I ran back to the Wanderer, the liberated song of the colony ringing in my ears. As I blasted off, leaving Kepler 186f behind, I knew I hadn't won a war. But I had struck a chord. I had shown the KRYL, in a way they could never understand, that humanity's song, even when silenced, could never truly be extinguished. It lived in our hearts, in our memories, in the simple act of a lone voice singing in the dark. And that, I realized, was a song worth fighting for.
Like and subscribe.